Then Jesus said to them, "These are my words that I spoke to you while I was still with you, that everything written about me in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms must be fulfilled." When he opened their minds to understand the Scriptures, and he said to them, "Thus it is written, that the Messiah is to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day, and the repentance and forgiveness of sins is to be proclaimed in the name of all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things." The Gospel of the Lord.
Well, I must say, you folks here at St. Peter the Apostle School, when it comes to technology, you're pretty savvy. I'm looking at these fancy screens here that give us all the responses to the Mass so we know when to sing and what to say and when to sit and stand and everything else. And you got me hooked up here to sound, and I don't know if that's so that you can hear my voice, or if I get boring, you can turn me off. I don't know what that is. But the best, I was in the chapel. I was getting ready for Mass over there in the chapel. You know, you have the Stations of the Cross there. And I saw there what I haven't seen anywhere else. Underneath each of the stations, a barcode. So, before I leave today, I'm going back into that chapel and I'm going to scan that station, all of the stations, into my iPhone and see how I think that is just so neat. So, for you who are so technologically advanced, somebody turned me off. Oh no, there it is. My intuition was right. So, for everybody that's so technologically savvy, here's a question. You know what Twitter's all about, with the sending out of the tweets and everything else. As I understand it, when it comes to a tweet, you're limited to 140 characters. That's not much. Not a lot you can say in 140 characters. But the question is, this week, this is Easter week, and we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. And the church has been around for over 2,000 years, and you can well imagine that in those 2,000 years, a lot has been written about what the resurrection of Jesus means. You can fill libraries with the books and the articles and the homilies and the speeches and the messages, all trying to explore the mystery of the resurrection of Jesus. So what I'm wondering is, do we think that we can take this extraordinary mystery and fit it into a tweet? Fit it into 140 characters? And in the Gospel, Jesus says, yep, you can. If Jesus, now here's a thought. If Jesus were on Twitter, what would his tweet be to explain the whole mystery of the resurrection? 3 words. Don't be afraid. There it is. And I think that comes in under 140 characters. But it really, in a beautiful way, captures the significance of the resurrection of Jesus. Don't be afraid. That's kind of a tall order, really, because it's kind of normal, kind of natural to get worried and afraid. We worry about everything. And we get nervous and we get afraid. And not just people of your age. I get nervous and afraid. All the adults do, your parents, your teachers, even the fearless superintendent over there. I'm sure there's times she gets a little nervous. But in that Easter tweet, it says, don't be afraid. How come? Well, think of what happened in the Gospel. The disciples of Jesus are gathered together and they are terrified. And for some good reasons. Jesus has just been crucified. And they figure that if it becomes known to others that they were his friends, the same thing will likely happen to them. So they really are afraid and they're locked away in a room. But Jesus comes to them. The walls don't stop Jesus. He comes to them, the risen Lord, and he says, what are you worried about? Why are you so afraid? He says, peace, be with you. I'm with you. And then when they saw him, they were even more afraid. They thought they were looking at a ghost. He said, I'm not a ghost. Have you got something to eat? So they gave him something to eat. See, I'm not a ghost. It's me. I'm alive. I'm risen. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Why? Because I'm with you. That's it. I'm with you. Just think about this. Jesus rose from the dead. Well, if Jesus can rise from the dead, is there anything that can happen in our lives that he can't help us with? Of course not. Nothing is beyond the reach of the love, the power, the mercy of Jesus, our risen Lord. So the next time that you're feeling worried or afraid about, I don't know, things going on at home, in the family, things kind of tense, how about the reality of sickness in the lives of people that you love? Maybe you're worried about somebody that's close to you that's recently passed away. How about things here at school? How are things going on with your friends and your peers? Kind of worried about, wonder what people are thinking about me, you know, my image, my reputation. Do people think I'm kind of weird? Your classes? You know, how are things going there? Are you struggling? Are you worried about the difficulty of the subjects and all these sorts of things? Or if we look outside of ourselves at the world, all kinds of stuff that might make us fearful. Think of the suffering of the poor people in Syria, Ukraine, and elsewhere, the great poverty that exists in the world. That can all weigh down on us. And we can be pretty nervous and anxious. And Jesus says, in that Easter tweet, don't be afraid. Why? Because I'm with you. And I can look after it, I can take care of it, because I'm God, and I love you. So when we gather here today for the Mass, Jesus will touch us in a wonderful way shortly by giving us his very body and blood. Let's bring to him here all the stuff that's making us worried and anxious and afraid. And let's hear him say to us what he said to those apostles. Peace be with you. Don't be afraid. I'm risen, I'm alive, and I am with you here and now.